Hello again, and let's start reading chapter 3. Chapter 3, Righteous Like the Pope. Jumping Jack closed the door to the office and sat in his boss's chair. He pulled a seat up next to him so that we could both look in and see the papers in the file. The cardboard folder was not very thick, and he said, "This is a complete copy of the entire file. We left nothing out. That includes a disc with all the pictures at the scene and a video walkthrough of the house. You're free to take the file with you. Just destroy it once you're through with it. Standard police procedure when they're being cooperative." "Thanks," I said. He began speaking without needing to open the file. Let's see, quick rundown. Avram Klein, occupation rabbi, white male, 45 years old, no children, good health, no criminal record, not even a parking ticket. 34 days ago, sometime before 10:45 p.m., while he was dressed in his pajamas, he threw a noose over a water pipe in his basement and tied it off. He got up on a stool, put the noose around his neck, and stepped off the stool. The medical examiner determined the time of death to be approximately 10:45 p.m., give or take 15 minutes. The body showed no signs of trauma other than the strangle marks made by the rope and some bruising of the heels of his feet, apparently from kicking around as he died, perhaps from the stool. At about 10:20, the wife discovered the body when she came home from watching a film at the cinema complex. She says she had no idea that he was contemplating suicide. The house is equipped with an old but competent security system, and it was working fine the night he died. The security camera shows that no one entered the house from the time his wife left for the film until she returned. First responders arrived at the scene at 12:32 a.m. and secured the area. They found no evidence of forced entry or any signs of a struggle. In fact, the entire house was neat as a pin. The beds were even made. There was no sign of poisons or noxious substances. All the security triggers on the doors and the windows were intact and operational. A search of the rabbi's study showed a file with a number of brochures from private psychiatric clinics. When we checked those out, we found that the rabbi had been in contact with them about an elective hospitalization. The wife corroborated this. And oh yeah, the week before he died, he notified his immediate boss, some rabbi named Lipper or Lansky or Rabbi Lipsky, I said. Yeah, that's the name. It's in the file. That he would have to take off some time to deal with personal issues, like half a year. Half a year, I asked? Yep. We also found the Holy Bible with a passage in Lamentations highlighted. Chapter 1, verse 20. It was written in Hebrew, and the translation is, "See, O Lord, how distressed I am. I am in torment within, and in my heart I am disturbed. For I have been most rebellious. Outside the world bereaves, inside is only death." Thus it looks like he was telling everybody he was going away. Slattery turned to me and asked, "So tell me, Mr. Hotshot, high-salaried private investigator, what does this sound like to you? Murder one? Manslaughter?" "Sounds like an open and shut case of suicide." "Thank you. I rest my case." "Did you do an autopsy?" "Yes and no," Slattery explained. Medical examiner made the call. Didn't think the case warranted a full autopsy. And the wife nearly had a conniption fit when we suggested it. Only about 20% of our suicides get full autopsies. What they did was a closed autopsy. They ran the corpse through an ultrasound and a CT machine and checked the body for drugs, alcohol, and poisons. It showed that all the internal organs were intact and confirmed the impression that there was no trauma other than that we had on the neck and the heels, which I mentioned before. You know, they can even put little TV cameras into just about any part of the body, but it wasn't needed in this case. These closed autopsies saved the county a shitload of money. He had no enemies, bad debts, disputes, I asked. Nope, man was loved by all. As far as we can tell, he was a flippin' saint. The community simply loved both him and his wife. Everyone said that they were the most devoted couple around, said the detective. I thought to myself that if this was not actually a suicide, that statistics said it was 90% bet that the perpetrator was someone close to the deceased. So I had to ask, did you corroborate the wife's whereabouts? Sure did. We checked her out completely. Name is Dvorah, maiden name Gorlick, 43 years old, married Avram Klein when she was 23 years old. No children, no criminal record, no medical history or psychiatric history. Her family is loaded and so is she. The house is in her name and all the family money. She basically pays all the bills out of her own stash. The rabbi had no insurance policies, so she had nothing to gain financially with her husband's death. She is considered to be a pillar of the Jewish community. People at the theater remember that she comes to see a film every Wednesday evening, and they saw her there that night. Security tapes back that up. We got our cell phone server to check their records and do a GPS tracking for her phone that night. It shows that she went directly to the theater when she said she did. She stayed in the theater the entire time and then returned directly home after the show. He said this last as a sort of a challenge, waiting for me to think of some aspect of the case that had not been investigated. What about a CSI report? It's in the file. They found nada. Only prints in the house are from the husband or the wife. Well, so far it sounds like a suicide to me. I conceded. What did I say? Are we righteous or what? Righteous? Righteous like the Pope. I know you're still going to want to look at the file yourself because that is what I would do. So here it is. Knock yourself out. He pushed the file towards me as he headed to the door. I opened the file list. Did you check his computer and phone? With one end of the door handle, he said, sure did. He had an old-fashioned clam-shaped phone, so there was not much to get from it. We still have his laptop and home computer, and the cyber guys went over it. Didn't find a thing. Would you mind if I had my computer guy check the hard disks? I asked. Well, we signed off on both disks, and we were about to put them back into the computers and return them to the wife, so it would not break the chain of evidence for you to look at them as well. I'll tell her there's a slight delay. 3 days, okay? Just don't lose them. That would be great. As he was leaving, he said, Slinky, didn't I tell you that you would get cooperation up the kazoo? Up the wazoo? You sure did, Jumpin' Jack. That stopped him at the door. He turned to me and said, I get it, sigh. I knew you would, John. By the way, Julie Dalton was that lead investigator on this call. He turned to the squad room and spoke loudly to a 40-year-old black lady. Hey, Julie. The black woman looked up, and as he continued, my man here, Cy, if he has any questions, you help him out. Julie nodded in the affirmative and slatterly turned back to me. I'll get you those hard disks now. Slattery left, and I made a mental note that I had to speak with Rabbi Lipsky and Rebbitzin Klein. I had to read the file carefully and look at the pictures. I would need to see the basement where the rabbi died, but all that could wait. First things first. I realized that 3 days with the discs was not much time, and I had to get them to my man in Detroit ASAP. I put in a call to Chucky Short, the head of the cybercrimes division at the Detroit Police Department. He did some private work on the side, and I have never found anyone who was better at unraveling the secrets of the computer. My connection went through, and on the fourth ring, I heard the very loud, "Yo, speak to me." This was Chucky's standard way of answering his phone. It didn't matter if you were the janitor or the chief of police. Chucky, it's me, Cy. Cy Lincoln. Under what rock have you been hiding? I haven't heard from you in almost a year, said Chuck. I'm taking it slow. Went back to school, I said honestly. I do not volunteer that I'm studying in a yeshiva unless someone asks me directly. Few people would understand. I just wanted to know if you could have a look at a couple of hard disks for me. What's on them? Right now, nothing. The cyber guys in the East Lansing Police Department say they're clean. But I want you to tell me that they did not make a mistake, I said. I know Jackie Mills. That's their man. We work together occasionally. He's good. If he says it's clean, it probably is. You'll be wasting your money. I still want it done, I insisted. Well, I could take a look at the disc next week. No can do. They only gave me 3 days with the discs. I'm a little swamped right now. Big case going that I'm getting all kinds of overtime. Big favor, I said beseechingly. Got to get this case wrapped up by the weekend. The phone went silent for a moment, then Chuck said, I'm really sorry. Can't do it before the weekend. I know we go way back. Yeah, way back to where I got them to drop your nephew's DUI. Well, I remember. And your brother's aggravated assault. Yeah, that too. And the drunken disorderly charge for your Uncle Chet. And yeah, I remember all of those. He stopped speaking. And then after a moment and said reluctantly, can you drop off the disc this evening? I'll take a peek. My man, I exclaimed. Can't get with you tonight. I'll drive back to Detroit tomorrow and bring you the discs. Where are you now? Chuck asked. At the East Lansing Police Department. Oh, that's your answer, he said excitedly. I told you they already have checked the discs. No, not Jackie, said Chuck. You're going to take your disc to the disc lady. She works out of her home in East Lansing. No, Chucky, don't shut me off. I need the best for this work, I insisted. Cy, she is the best, he stated emphatically. She's a living legend. There's no one better to check wipe discs.
When we get stymied here at the division, we sometimes farm out the disc to the disc lady. She works with all the criminal justice systems in the state, DA, state police, you name it. Can she be trusted, I asked. Absolutely, he answered. She's certified and bonded in all the 50 states to handle sensitive material. The FBI works with her. She even worked on some of the stuff you sent me last year, and you didn't even know it. If you remember, some of it was pretty nitty-gritty. Well, what a revelation. If anything had leaked on some of those cases, there could have been severe financial and political repercussions. Thanks for telling me now, I said sarcastically. Hey, you want information off a computer? I get it for you. If it gets tough, and I don't give up, and sometimes I need special help. She's the special help. You think she'll take the disc on short notice, I asked? I'm pretty sure she will. She works really crazy hours. I'll give her a call and tell her you're coming. End of chapter 3.